a show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, the Wellness Center, Medical and Behavioral Health Clinics, Ticely Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, HOV Medical and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment. Honorable Hon Vanterpool, we know the season is here. We have heard some seesawing over the past few years of this term. But the big question, are you running for office this year?
No, I'm not. I want to support people going forward and want to see that the country continues to grow well. And I'll be supporting the background, but I won't be up front. I'm not running for office. I think I've done my 25 years or so, 21 of it inside and 4 outside. So I think I would like to thank the people of the 4th District and the people of the whole territory for supporting me during my term while I was there. But I think it's time to give someone else an opportunity to run the country, and I will give them my full support of advice whenever I can.
Okay, give us an overview of your assessment of what you would have accomplished or not over the years that you have served this territory as a legislator.
Yeah, Kathy, as you know, the first thing I did when I got into office, the city of Rotown was in terrible shape. I don't think a lot of people appreciate it now what was there before. Ugly, nasty, dirty parking lots. A lot of historical sites were in shambles and so on. Roads were terrible. I got in and I started working very urgently to make it happen in the year, my first term, 1999 to 2003. I did a lot of work in Rotown. People remember the bandstand was reinvigorated. The Sunday morning well, we fixed over. All the parking spots in Rotown that you see on Wickham-Ski were all dirt. We made them concrete and landscaped them. We did a lot of work all over in Rotown. And then for the territory, as I became minister, I looked after some major things. I always believe as a businessman that you have to set some business plans in place. And the cruise ship dock is what you call an investment in the territory that I was very keen on making happen. I didn't fuss with or worry about those who are opposing it, because you'll always have opposition. But I learned from each level that you set your will, you are the leader, you lead. And as long as my premier gave me the permission, as he did, we built the cruise pier, and in spite of all of the criticism, the cruise pier is going to be this country's best investment for a long, long time for the good of the people of the territory. A lot of taxi men are happy right now. A lot of other vendors. We have a lot of benefit from the cruise ship that is there. I always hail C.B. Romney, who pushed the cruise tourism idea, and that's why I named it in his honor. And I am glad that I would leave that as my biggest legacy as minister who was responsible for building the cruise ship pier, under the leadership, of course, of my premier, Dr. Yolanda Smith. So these are accomplishments that I'm happy with. We built some roads. Roads is a difficult thing. I would like to see us do a more comprehensive job on the roads rather than fixing them now and then they get damaged again and all the issues surrounding that. So I will be pushing for that even on the outside. I told those who are running now, I'm willing to offer my services and help in any way I can. But I want to now pay attention to my business and to my grandchildren. and that's what I'm retiring for.
If you should turn back the hands of time, what is the one thing that you would have done or done differently?
Well, there's certain things. The cruise pier was built, and I'm happy that it happened. How it happened, sometimes you wish you had done it differently especially in terms of procurement. But I wasn't phased because I was told that I should follow, and I was even told by the COI judge that I should have listened to the board of the port. That's not how it works for me. I believe I was a minister. We made a promise to the people that we were going to build a cruise pier a certain way, and I made it happen. The ideas that the then Port Authority board that I met I didn't agree with, and within the law as minister, I could make that decision. I did it, so I built the port. I'm very happy for that. I wish that we had looked at the procurement issues of it a little differently. I was in the learning process of procurement. For government, I do it my way in business, but then government is different. So I wish was done in a different way, in a more what you might call a more transparent and better procurement process. So that's one. The other one was I wish, there are several governments who come in and trying to improve the sewage project in East End. That continues to be a problem. We had gotten to a stage where we were about to execute, and then in came CDB engineers and say they want to make it bigger, and then the next government comes in and they want to make it bigger. That's unfortunately how things happen, but I wish I had seen the sewage project in East End come to fruition. Didn't happen under my term. And the roads, the roads are a major project that needs a lot of funding and a lot of proper engineering. If I had to go back and do the roads over, I would squash the whole public works direction of it and put it under a special engineering team and bring in the right engineers to engineer roads for a territory like this, because it can happen. Dominica built good roads, other places build good roads, even though they have the topography that they have, and I think we can do that here in the Big Area too. Of course it needs funding, and I would like to see that happen. I'm also sorry that when I was in government, we didn't move more quickly to take the $400 million that the UK government offered us after the hurricane and carry out the projects. We left it until the next government. The next government refused to take it, which I think was a very big mistake. I wish we had taken those funds and gone ahead and improved our electricity infrastructure underground, improved our roads, improved our schools. But we decided that something about the protocols of financial management we weren't meeting those standards, but it's the British government who was giving us the funds and was willing to in the circumstances of a post-hurricane situation, give us that money to do what we want to do. And it was a bad decision, I think, by the government that came after us not to move and take those funds and really improve the territory in preparation for the next storms and the next hurricane. So those are some of the things I regret, but mistakes happen. We don't do the right thing every time, but I think we did a lot of good things during the period of time. In my 25 years that I was around, 20 of them, 5 terms would have been what I would have served, and I think that we did a lot of good things for the territory, and we want to see the territory go forward and improve. Of course, one of my biggest things is that I cannot accept that I've spent 25 years in there and we're still a colony. This decolonization has to happen. I will be working hard outside to make that happen. It's impossible for me to think that myself, who has developed my own business, my own ideas, my own thinking, we have to be still under the leadership of the British government and not determine our own direction. We have done well economically as a country. We have done well in development, better than many countries in the world, and there's no reason why we should be here waiting for the British government to make decisions for us. Of course we have made mistakes. Of course we have not done things right every time, but which country hasn't? I always say to myself, I see them charging people for, what do you call it, breach of trust and all kinds of things, and I wonder who is the biggest breach of trust that we have seen, and the same lady whose name is Miss Trust, in terms of what she's cost the British government. Who's going to charge her for breach of trust? But I'm saying, in everything you do, you make mistakes. You're not perfect. So she was not perfect. I'm sure she went there with the best intentions, as we as a government go with the best intentions. But now everybody's charging you for breach of trust with all kinds of things, and I think that is very unfortunate. I believe that you have to always do your audits, do your follow-ups, see what's happening. But when ministers go into office and they make their best efforts to execute their projects, at times they may not be executed in the correct way, but in terms of judging people that whether they're being corrupt and all kinds of things, it's something that one has to be very careful with in terms of people's reputation being damaged. You know, for me, I went into office in 1999. I did my best in terms of serving the country. When I became a minister, I executed my projects as best I could with the assistance of the persons who were supporting those projects in terms of the government workers who had to carry them out. And that's how we operate. It behooves us as leaders, as ministers, to carry out what we told people in a manifesto will be carrying out. And when you do that, you may get in issues that people can come afterwards and say it's a breach of trust, which I'm trying to still get the definition of that, because you have your job to do. I was not going to accept what the board your board is an advisory board. The minister's policy in terms of the cabinet and what the government has carried out is what's supposed to be carried out, not what a chairman of a board wants, or what the chairman of the board have to be in sync with what the government of the day wants to have happen. And to me, somebody's trying to tell us differently, that the boards must direct what happens in the territory. That's not so. The policies have to be approved by the government through the cabinet, and then the boards carry out the policies of the government. Somehow we are mixing up what that means, and I hope that we can understand, and people can understand, especially in this what we call the silly season when we're going to be running for office, that you're electing officials to carry out their policies that they promise to the people. When the people vote for them, that means they have been given the democratic right to carry out these policies. It's not up to a board or a board member or board chairman to decide how electricity should be run, whether we should bury the cables or not, whether we should put a lot more effort into renewable energy or not. You get those conflicts happening between boards and the government, and it's not supposed to be so. The boards are supposed to listen to the policy of the government as they have been the elected officials who are given a mandate to carry out these projects and try to carry them out in the best way possible. And that's how it should work. Now, the ministers should not be directly involved in how it happens, but at times you have to step in, as I did with the port. I made sure that we're building a port to handle 5,000 cruise ship passengers and 2,000 crew, as I was directed by the cruise industry, and not 2,000 passengers that the board at the time was telling me I should build. And that's where the conflict started. In the middle of it, you always have disagreements, but I am happy to say that the legacy of the C.B. Romney Tortola Pier Park is the legacy of Hon Vanterpool, that the children 10 years from now in school, when they learn about cruise industry, will remember that the Dr. Orlando Smith government, with the leadership of Hon Vanterpool, would have carried out such a project.
Okay, and in all of this, as we are on the topic, we see several persons being called in by the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, which is captioned, arrested and questioned. Were you at any point in time summoned by the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force as it relates to investigations they are carrying out, recommended by the COI report?
No, I haven't been, and I hope I would not be, because even if you're not guilty, it carries a stain on your reputation for a long time. So, you do your best and hope for the best. As Mr. Lessam used to on the ZBVI, hope for the best. What does he say? Accept what God sends, and we are hoping for the best for the territory of the Virgin Islands. But we got to work hard to make it the best territory that we can have for our people of the Virgin Islands.
Okay. As we are in the election season, and yes, you would have announced now that you are definitely not going up this time around. Are you still showing your support to the National Democratic Party government, or are you somewhere else?
I state very clearly I'm a statesman now. I'm not showing my support anywhere else, but I am not getting involved in the whole political arena right now. I'm supporting, I think, whoever will be the best team to carry forward the mantle of the country. And sometimes it may not be one team. I don't know what will happen. The unity government, I think, did a good job holding together for the last year, which I was a part of. And I want to see us start thinking more, especially in the short term, of getting the country moving forward without the battles between parties and so on, and hope that can work out. So I hope I'm not too entrusted into the political arena in any way at all. I want to just go quietly out and enjoy my life with my grandchildren and my business.
Do you maintain your membership with the National Democratic
Yes,
Party?
yeah. Oh yes, I am a member of the National Democratic Party still. I don't attend meetings and so on, but I am a member still. And I will retain that membership until the House is dissolved.
Okay, and do you support the drive that, especially in this season, the person should focus more on individuals to be elected into government as opposed to doing the party politics, the party voting way?
That's always a very difficult decision to make and measurement to make, because you get confusion with that, and I've seen it here in the territory before, where you have parties run, and then at the end a chief minister becomes an independent candidate, and those are not always the best things that can happen. I think parties should put forward their manifesto and tell the people what they promise to execute, and the people should vote based on their conscience on that. Sure, you may have individuals who are good candidates, but I still support the party system in the best way possible. But you do have room for a difference in how it operates. But the party system to me is still a very important system in any democracy to be able to support.
And do you think a unity government is a better one as opposed to a one-party government?
I don't think a unity government, in the circumstances we had last year, unity government was perhaps important, but I don't know if it works well. Of course, if two parties don't get the majority, and it will be useful for them to join together and try to get the country moving, as we have seen in different places in the recent past. In St. Kitts, there was a unity government that operated. I don't know how well it lasted towards the end, but it happens in different places, and who knows, it may happen again this year in the BVI. But but at the same time, I'm saying, Kathy, while we all the ones who have been through it, we should have some of us in there. I want to ensure people to understand that we must give the younger ones who are there. I say younger, but not young, because they're not so young. I started out at the age of some of them, and we call them young, but some of them have 8 years, 12 years as in office, as is, I think, Marlon Penn. Others only have 4, but they have gone through it this term and learned some lessons, some rights and some wrongs. And I am one who support the younger people, giving them the chance to go forward to lead the country, with the hope, as I told the Premier presently, as I always tell him when we talk, rely on us for some advice. We have seen the right, we've seen the wrong, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad. Ask us a question. You don't have to take our advice, but be willing to consult with the older politicians who were there. I used to consult, although he was not my party, Honorable Ralph O'Neill when I was minister, and I would want a question answered about something that he may have been involved in before. I would call him up or go to his house and ask him his opinion on ABC. If I'm going to Virgin Gorda to visit Virgin Gorda, and I know he knows Virgin Gorda inside out as minister, I would say, Mr. O'Neill, I'm going over to VG today. Can you go over with me, or can you tell me ABC about the project I'm going to do in Virgin Gorda? So we need to understand that we don't have to isolate those who are in other parties or after we cross the Jordan, as we say. We should be able to involve them. For example, there are people in all parties who may be able to give you advice on financial services, on diplomatic endeavors, how you deal with diplomatic endeavors. The BVI is moving eventually, has to move eventually to self-determination. I call it that way. I don't call it independence. I call it self-determination. When you get there, it doesn't mean that you're giving up on the British. You can have the British as one of your close allies and advisors. You can establish relationships with them that they themselves establish with the EU and others. You can establish relationships with the the EU itself. You can have an envoy at the EU. You can have an envoy at the UN. You can have different things like that. And you need people who may have the knowledge of how that is done, who may not have been your supporter or a part of the party, but utilize the talent that we have in the territory to the best use that is needed. So, you know, if anybody wants financial advice, if anybody wants business advice, if anybody wants to know, like I tell Honorable Karim, how to execute a project, speak to Mark Vanterpool.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to talk to Mark Vanterpool.
Okay. And in this moment, we consider it your farewell as a legislator. What would you say to the people of District 4?
District 4 have been a strong supporter of mine all the years through. I enjoy them. I enjoy going into the houses, going into the yards, going into. We had fun. You know, there were times when it was stressful. You know, of course, nobody would forget the most stress after Hurricane Irma, as I walked into Road Town and walked into Longbush and walked into the ghetto and all these places and see the destruction. That's an indelible mark on my mind. Of course, the person that I am, we whipped into action right away. No suits or anything, throw on my t-shirt and we went to work trying to clean up Road Town and get it back on track as quickly as possible. But the people of the 4th District have been good to me over the years in every way possible. From every angle, Road Town down in the lower end of Road Town and the main street in you know, Lower Estate and up in Joe's Hill, up by the Manse. You know, I can go all through Road Town and tell you how endearing the people were to me. The last year or so, I would say that I haven't been as close to them as I normally would. But I want them to remember that I appreciate the support and I will still be there for them in any way I can in my district. They're beloved people and I enjoyed my 4th District people all the way. And people in the Virgin Islands. After you've been in office for 20 years, especially after you've been a minister, you get to know everybody through the territory. I go Virgin Gorda, everybody's shouting me out, Hon Vanterpool, blah, blah, blah. Go Just Van Dyke, I go to Anigada, I go up to East End. Everybody knows you after you've been in office so long. And of course, you know, they know me as the action man. I've been asked to turn over the mantle today. I won't turn over the mantle until I know who is who. So we'll see what happens.
One other thing I neglected to ask you earlier, and that the monies that used to be allocated to ministers to help their people in the district, you think that was a good move to move that from ministers and legislators generally?
Yeah, I always supported that. I felt that, you see, you have to understand the history of that money, you know. Many years ago, that money was allocated to district representatives to do specific projects in their districts. That's when the complaints were being made by the opposition that the government weren't paying attention to the districts that they didn't have. And so a small amount of money, at the time it was 75,000, 100,000, was given to each member to do projects in his district. For example, if I wanted to build a little basketball court or a little children's playground in my district, that's what those money were for. That's monies were for. Over the years, it's turned out to be monies that people come and ask you to assist them with their personal things for. And don't misunderstand me, the need was there because the social development programs that we had were not as robust as they should be to help people with those requests. But while we have done it so suddenly and it's affecting people right now, I believe in the long run, you have to build a proper structure within the social development department to help people in need, because trust me, there are a lot of people in need who need help like that, and you have to be very open to helping the needs of those people. And you can't always make the judgments for help based on certain specific criteria. I've seen some of the people in my district who I used to help, who you go and you tell them, the social development tell them that, well, your child is walking and you don't need help. But understand it, many times the children don't help the father or the mother who is struggling to be able to buy a plate of food or go to the supermarket and shop. The children have their own concerns sometimes, have their own families they're struggling with, and therefore they can't help mom or dad. And I've seen that in my district where social development have refused to help some of those people based on the fact that so-and-so is working at this place or that place and they should help you. That is not always the case. And that's what politicians understood. Politicians understood that and helped the people. The social development have to change their mindset a bit and be prepared to be open more to helping those people. We can't let people fall through the cracks. As I said in the House of Assembly the other day, there are a lot of poor people in the BVI. We don't want to accept that, but there are a lot of poor people. The people are very proud and to be very, so don't tell you what's going on with them. Unless you're close to them, like as a politician would do, going into the yards and going into the houses. Friday afternoon, the electricity got cut off. They don't want anybody to know, so they don't say anything, but they don't have any electricity over the whole weekend. The only person can turn to sometimes is the politician who would call up and say, can you call so-and-so electricity, get the power back off with a promise that Monday we're going to get the money to them. And that's the kind of things we do. Somebody will say, well, that's not right, that's not fair. But that's what politicians' heart is about. You try to help people in every way we can. We may go in Monday and pay the bill for them, right? Where does the money come from? By the time they go to social development or private, it's 2 weeks, they don't have any electricity. Who takes care of that? I'm saying those are things that we have to be conscious of. Real life things that the social development department doesn't necessarily address in a timely manner.
Thank you so much for this time, Honorable Vanterpool.
I got to share my experience.
You made the big story.
Okay, Kathy, good luck, and thanks for the good job that you guys are doing, because we need the media to keep these good stories or bad stories out there. Unfortunately, we have too many bad ones these days, like we had over the weekend, but we want to keep praying for the territory of the Virgin Islands. Thank you.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.